Right, welcome back to fourth quarter action of this new dice football game that I'm testing out. The game will be available soon, but just wanted to post this last fourth quarter. This is a game between the 2022 Vikings and 2022 Lions. The Vikings are ahead at present 41-20 as we head to the fourth quarter. It's been a hot game for the Vikings and Kirk Cousins. Detroit is going to take over with 3 minutes left in the third. Actually, we're in the fourth quarter right now. And it is second down and 10 on the Minnesota 14. You can see that Detroit is driving the ball here. They've got second and 10. Sorry about that. And we're just starting the fourth quarter. So we got the table set up okay right now. This game is played using at least 2d6 dice and at least 2d10 dice. I like to have two sets because then I can roll both teams at the same time for both the offense and the defense. And then the 2d10s tell us what type of play it is based on the team's actual run-pass ratio. So I was asked yesterday or this morning I got it about whether we could do a set for 2023. And I think it would be possible for you to actually do that yourself. You just have to figure out the run-pass ratio, which is just, for me, figuring out the the number of passing attempts divided by the number of plays. And then that gives you the passing ratio. And then I round up, if it's, 54.6, I just round that up to 55. So then it would be a 1 to 55 roll, or 55% of their plays are passing plays. And then the rest of them are going to be running plays, right? It's a binary thing, so there's only two options for passing or rushing. We have penalties built into the offensive rolls, so we don't need to actually include penalties into the run-pass ratio. So that's how you would figure that out. So you just figure that out for your team. You could even pencil it into the cards. What a new run-pass ratio would be for 2023. And then if you needed to make any adjustments to any of the players, if you're wanting to keep stats, because some of the players are probably going to be different on some of these teams. Trying to think about these two teams, maybe Dalvin Cook's not going to be there, so Madison would actually be the number one running back. And you could use the same percentages, or you could write in new percentages for them if you wanted to. There's a little bit of space on here where you could do that for most of the teams. If you wanted to put it out to the right or underneath, or just kind of however you wanted to do it. You could do it on the back of the card, even, and kind of reproduce the card on the back. But I wouldn't be upset at that at all. So it's not a big deal to me. And in this game, it's not going to make any difference, but the defense is going to be 0 here, and the defense is going to be 0 here. So neither of these teams have any sort of defensive advantage. But if you were playing, say, San Francisco, I've added a defense value. For San Francisco, it'd be a defense value of 2 because they're one of the 3 or 4 teams in the league that got a 2 awarded to them. And then there's another handful of teams that got a 1, and then the rest of the league gets a 0. So basically your top 10 teams in the league in defense are going to get a 1 or a 2. And then the rest of the teams, the other 2/3 of the league are going to get a 0. And what those numbers do is, let's say the offense rolls a 12, and then the defense rolls a 13. If your defense is a 1, then if you roll a 13, a 12, or an 11, it's going to be just like rolling a 12. So you get kind of one space above and below. And then if it's a +2, then you would have the defensive advantage on a 14, 13, 12, and 11 if you had a 2 rating. So if you rolled a 14 and the offense rolled a 12, it would still be an incomplete pass. It would be just like rolling a 12 against the offense. So you get a little bit more defensive advantage that way. And there's a lot of times when the numbers are very close. There's a lot of times when you roll a 35 and they roll a 12, and it just doesn't matter in that way. So, but there are some times that I've noticed as I've been playing that the defense rolls really close, like within one of the offense. And if you're a really good defense, maybe that leeway would be good, and you wouldn't be giving up so many big plays or different things like that. So that is something I want to test out. So I just created that yesterday, and I added it into the card. So now your run pass ratio will be to the left and your defense to the right. And I've done that for every team. So even if they're 0, it says defense 0. And what defense 0 means is you have to roll right on the number, just like I've been playing all along. So nothing would be different in this game because neither of these teams have a defensive rating above 0. So don't feel bad about that because I made that change mid-game. But if that had been the case where one of them had a defensive rating above 0, then maybe this game would turn out differently. But as it is, you're talking about two of the worst defenses in the NFL. So it's just not a great thing. I mean, two good offenses for sure, but not two great defenses. So 41-20 is not out of the realm of possibility going into the fourth quarter. But as it stands, Detroit has an opportunity. They're down by 21 points, so they're down by 3 scores, but they have a chance here at the fourth quarter to get a score to get them, semi back in the ball game. So let's go ahead and get started with this. This is second and 10 from the Minnesota 14, and they can score. They can get a first down without a score, but we'll see if that happens, or if Jared Goff just throws it in the end zone. All right, so this is going to be Lions football. This is going to be a pass, so a 0-4 is a pass. And we can see that because a 1-54 is going to be a pass. 55-100 on this roll is going to be a run. And you say, Brian, well, how do you get the first number? I choose to color code my teams. You can use any color, but obviously I have enough colored dice to be able to get the color of the teams. And so I have blue for the Lions, and I have purple for the Vikings. And same thing here with my indicators of who's on offense and where they're going. So the 0 is the color of the team is going to be the first one on the D10. So that's going to switch anytime that I do the dice roll. So when Minnesota's on offense, that'd be a 40. But when Detroit's on offense, it's a 0-4, which is a 4, which would be a pass either way. But this is going to be a pass. And then we look at Detroit's dice. 23 is going to be a play action pass to the tight end. We don't have a corresponding defensive number here, so we're going to play this this play right here, which is a play action pass to the tight end. The tight end is Brock Wright. So I look at the Detroit die, the first die that we read off of the D10s, and that's going to give us the number for our player finder. So that's going to be a pass to Brock Wright for 10 yards, and that's going to take it down to the 4-yard line, and now we have a first and goal from the Minnesota 4. Playbook open here for the Lions. A 40 is going to be another pass. 56 on a pass play is going to be a defensive penalty. There's no corresponding roll for the defense. If there was, it would turn and flip this to an offensive penalty, which obviously would be good for Detroit. So we're going to roll for the penalty of 66 on a pass play. That's going to be a 15-yard penalty, so pass interference probably, but on the 4 you can't go into the end zone, so we go half the distance to the goal line, which is to the 2. Still first down, no time off the clock on a penalty. And we have a 24, a 23 on a 24. 23 is going to be a play action pass to the tight end. We have a 12 on the defense, so no adjustment there. And you can see that that's for 10 yards. And it will count as long as it's within 12 yards. So we have 10 for the goal, for the end zone, plus 2 is 12. So we have kind of 12-yard window to work inside of. If your pass is within that 12 yards, then you can score. So it's like throwing it within the context of the goal line or the line of scrimmage all the way to the back of the end zone. That's kind of what you have to play with. on a pass play. Because it's 10 yards, that's less than 12, and that's going to be a TD pass from Jared Goff to TJ Hawkinson. So we're going to go TD pass, 2 yards to Hawkinson. And that takes 30 seconds off the clock. And that drive is a 4-minute drive. It started with 3 minutes left in the third quarter. And let's check for the extra point. On an extra point, everything is good except for a 1-1. So that makes it 41-27. And we are now into the fourth quarter. Minnesota's going to get the ball back. And we'll see if Minnesota can put this one away, or will the Detroit defense, I would say defense, will they put it away, or will they keep them in the game? So down by 14 points, Minnesota's going to get the ball back. On kicks, we look at the kicking team first, and then we look at the receiving team second. 44 on a kickoff. He is going to be a touchback, so no need to even look at the other dice because there's no chance for a run back. So Minnesota's going to take over 1st and 10 at their own 25. There is 14 minutes. There are 14 minutes left in the game. And let's see if Minnesota can ice this one or not. It's a 34. That's going to be a pass. So 1-60 is a pass for Minnesota. A 22 is going to be a pickoff, though. That's going to be Kirk Cousins dropping back, and he tries to get it out to Justin Jefferson, and that one is picked. You can see a 22 is an interception on a pass, and that's what we got here. We have no corresponding defensive play here. Otherwise, it would have been an opportunity for an interception for a TD. But what we're going to do is, since we have a pick, oh man, Kirk. All right, we got a pick, and Detroit is going to be back in this one. So we're going to roll our 2d10 or d6s, and we have our interception chart. So we're going to see how this one turned out. A roll of 22 again is going to be an interception return for a TD. Otherwise, let's see what the yardage is. It's a 24, which is close. So it says the line of scrimmage minus 11 yards. So when we say minus 11, we're looking at behind the line of scrimmage. So the ball was picked off and then run back in the direction that Detroit is going, away from the direction Minnesota is going. So it's like it was picked off back here and run past, toward the Detroit, where Detroit is going for the end zone. So line of scrimmage minus 11. So 25 minus 11 is down to the 14. So we're back where we started with this video. 30 seconds off the clock. And that was terrible. 30 seconds. And Detroit is in danger of getting right back into this one. I like to just record the yardage and stuff like that for the interceptions, just so I have it for posterity's sake. So it's going to be 1st and 10 for Detroit at the Minnesota 11. The Minnesota 14. And they have 13 and a half minutes left, so plenty of time here to score. But they're down by 2 touchdowns. They got to get back in the ball game, and Kirk Cousins just left the door wide open. An 82 is going to be a running play. A 34 is going to be off tackle for 4 yards. You can see that it's yellow. That means that we have an opportunity for yardage after contact. So we got 4 yards on the run, and let's see if there's yardage after the contact. So we roll 2 D10 or D6s, and then we look at our yak rag chart. There's no run after the contact, so he's dropped by the Minnesota defender after a 4-yard gain off tackle, and that's going to be DeAndre Swift off tackle, which brings up 2nd down and 6 for Detroit. So a lot of these mechanisms are just really easy. They're not hard to remember, but there's quite a bit of variability in the game itself, especially when you add in the offense and the defense together. So we got a 40. This is going to be a drop back pass, and in fact it's out of the shotgun. The pass is to the wide receiver. This is Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's going to be good for 17 yards, and because there's no defensive stop here, then we've got an opportunity because of the yellow for more yards with the yak. And so that's going to be 17. Actually, we don't even need it. So 17 from the 10 is just going to be a touchdown. We have 20 yards to work with, so he caught it at 17 yards. That's the target catch, and we don't even need to worry about the yak because it doesn't need to run anywhere. So this is going to be a 10-yard TD from Jared Goff to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And just like that, Detroit is fully back into this one. 12.5 minutes left, a 1-minute drive from the 14. And let's see about the extra point. Extra point is good, and that makes it 41-34. And this one is turning into a barn burner, as they say where I grew up. Detroit is going to kick off from the 35, and let's see if Minnesota can hold on to the ball. Don't give it away, fellas. Don't give it away. 36, another touchback. So Minnesota's going to start 1st and 10 at their own 25. Familiar territory for them. 12.5 minutes left in the game, and they desperately need a little offense here. Their last possessions in the second half have gone TD pass to Cook, punt, TD run to Cook, interception. So they've had some productivity here in the second half, especially in the third quarter, but in the fourth quarter they've had 1 drive, 1 pick. So we got to change that narrative here. Kirk is going to wisely hand it off this time, a 78. That's going to be a 14, and a 14 is going to be a dive for -1 yard. So you can see that if Detroit, if I was playing the defense and Detroit had a 1, then that would be like rolling a 14, even though they rolled a 15. So that's kind of how that would work. Because sometimes you have this, right, where they roll really close to each other. So that's what I'm looking at as I play the game. I think, well, how can I get defense a little bit more involved in it and separate the really good defenses from the sort of average or bad defenses? And this is one way that I've thought of it. If you have a different opinion or a different way, especially when you get your hands on the game and you start playing it, I'd love to hear if you have a different way to get to that. As it is, it's going to be a dive for -1 yard, so right up the gut. And this is going to be Dalvin Cook up the gut. We do have a little opportunity for run after contact, so let's roll for that. So -1 plus 6 is going to be a 5-yard gain, so he makes contact behind the line of scrimmage, but he's able to get away from it and pick up 5 yards. So that takes the ball out to the 30. It'll be 2nd down and 5 for Minnesota. Nice run by Dalvin. A 53 is going to be a pass play. 25, so Kirk drops back. He's got twins left, and he's going to get it out to Justin Jefferson for 15 yards. Got a 16 here, so no defensive play. So that'll be a 15-yard gain, and that goes out 10 and 15. So it'll be 1st and 10 at their own 45-yard line. 11.5 minutes left in the half, or in the game. Minnesota trying to ice this one away. They got a 1-touchdown advantage. Detroit looking to make a stop. This will be another pass play. So Cousins with a 14 is going to be a short pass to the wide receiver Adam Thielen. Thielen with the 7-yard pickup. So that's 5, 6, 7, and that crosses midfield. It'll be 2nd down and 3 from the Detroit 48. Not keeping individual stats in this one, but you could all along the way. That's why I give you the player finder. So you could keep track of at least the offensive stats. All right, so a 33 is another pass. A 55 is going to be incomplete, and that's going to bring up 3rd down. Incompletion is 15 seconds off the clock. And that will be 3rd down and 3. Let's leave the playbook open here. Let the dice decide. It's going to be a 21, which would be a pass play, a 14 and a 14. Uh-oh, this could be trouble. 14 is going to be a short pass for 7 yards, but because we rolled the same defensive roll, that's going to be the yardage minus 4 yards. So 7 minus 4 is a 3, and they get right to the sticks. So excellent play by Detroit, but they get right to the first down marker, and that's going to be a first down. So, whew, it's a close one. Good defense, but they were able to get right to the sticks. 16 on offense is going to be an incomplete pass. Brings up second down and 10 from the Detroit 45. Minnesota, 2 zeros for me is going to be 100. So 100 is a rushing play for Minnesota. This will be a 25. 25 on the rush is going to be a dive straight ahead. Excuse me, straight ahead for 2 yards for Alexander Madison. 25 and a 45, so no defensive adjustment there. And Madison takes it ahead for 2 yards. He's got an opportunity for more yardage after contact. So we're going to say 2 plus what? 2 plus 0. So just a 2-yard gain as he gets dropped by the Detroit linebackers for a 2-yard gain. And that's going to bring up third down and 8. So this is going to be a pass play. Going to go ahead and call a pass for the Vikings, regardless what is on the what's on the D10s. So it would have been a pass anyway. A 34 is going to be an incomplete pass as Kirk Cousins cannot connect with Justin Jefferson on third down and 8. And that's going to bring up a fourth down. So I'm going to try the coffin corner punt again. I made this up the other day. I have to get this in the game. Maybe just in the game instructions, because it's really just something you do on the fly. Basically, when you punt the ball, whatever you get for your punt yardage, which comes off of the punting chart here, whatever you get for your punt yardage, you're going to take off 10. So if you kick a 49-yard kick, then minus 10, it's a 39-yard kick, and then you mark that off. The ball goes out of bounds, so there's no return on the play. So really, we only need to roll for the punt, and then wherever it goes out of bounds is where the team takes off. So it will be fourth down. There will be a punt. And let's see how this goes. The 36 is going to be a 53-yard punt, so we're going to make that a 43-yard punt. We have 43 yards to go, and so that sneaks right into the end zone as they can't stop it. And that will be 43 yards on the punt and no return. In fact, it's a touchback. That takes 15 seconds off the clock. We're down to 9 minutes left in the game. 3.5-minute drive. They didn't go super far, but they did take some time off the clock there. But Detroit is going to get the ball back at their own 20, which is where you start after a touchback. Take over at their own 20 with 9 minutes left in the game. And let's see if Jared Goff can bring them all the way back from down 21 to start the fourth quarter. Let's get the offense set up. Goff gets them out onto the field. Crunch time in Detroit. And let's see if Jared Goff can bring them all the way back. This is a 48. That's going to be a pass from Jared Goff. 35 is going to be incomplete. So that's going to bring up second down and 10 for the Lions. Another pass play as Goff drops back. He's got trips to the right. He's going to be throwing it out to Amon-Ra St. Brown. We've got a 33 for Minnesota, so a 26 is a 15-yard gain to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that will take the Lions out to the 35-yard line. First and 10 now for Detroit. The Lions are on the move. This will be a running play. A 56 on a running play is an offensive penalty. No corresponding defensive roll, so let's see what the offensive penalty is. 24 on a running play is a loss of 5 yards, so that's going to be maybe a false start. So they go back to the 30, no change on the time or the downs. So it'll be first and 15, and that will be a pass play. 23 is going to be a play action pass to the tight end. You can see Minnesota just missed on that. So this will be a pass play to the tight end. This is going to go to Hawkinson for 10 yards. So they get 10 yards back, but it's going to leave a third down. It's going to leave a second down and 5. So manageable for Detroit. This will be a run play, 36 on the run. It's going to be a quarterback keeper, so maybe a scramble there. And he'll pick up 8 yards. That'll be good for the first down as Detroit gets to their own 48. Detroit driving now, 7 minutes and 15 seconds left in the game. Probably don't want to leave too much time if they're going to drive down and score. They need a touchdown, though. They can't kick a field goal here. So it will be a 57. A 57 is going to be a running play. 35 on the run is a counter play for 6 yards. And that will be Jamal Williams for 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Brings up second down and 4 from the Minnesota side of the field, from the Minnesota 46. Pass play here from Jared Goff at 26 is going to be complete to the wide receiver. This is going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown again for 15 yards. So we say 10 and 15 gets them down to the 31. That's a nice big chunk of yardage for the Lions. And they're going to take over, or they're going to pick up 1st and 10 at the Minnesota 31. Minnesota's defense unable to put up much resistance here. This will be a running play. A 15 is going to be a dive straight ahead for no yards. So nice play by the defensive line as they stuff the middle. Brings up second down and 10. 27 is going to be a pass play. 23 is going to be play action to the tight end. This will be to Hawkinson again. And that's going to be good for 10 yards as Goff gets it over the middle to his big tight end. And ironically, Hawkinson played enough games to qualify for both the Lions and the Vikings last year, which is funny. So he was traded mid-season, but a huge target for the Lions. 1st and 10. There's 5 minutes and 15 seconds left in this one. Detroit is trying to get it all tied up. A 49 is going to be a pass play, and that will be a 66, and that's a killer. That's going to be a sack and a loss of 3 yards as Goff holds on to the ball too long, and that's going to bring up second down and 13 for the Lions. They're going to have a choice to make if they can't score a touchdown, if they have to kick a field goal, so we'll have to see about that. 47 is going to be a pass play. 23 will be another play action pass to the tight end as they get a little bootleg out to the right. And they hit T.J. Hawkinson coming across the middle, trailing, and that's going to be good for a gain of 10 yards. No run after the catch. So that's going to leave a 3rd down and 3, maybe 4 down territory here for Detroit. A 3 is going to be a pass play. 45 is going to be a play action pass to the wide receiver. No defensive involvement here, so that's going to be good for 16 yards. And just like that, that's a strike. 3rd down and 3 from the 14 in Jared Goff with a strike down the middle of the field to his wide receiver. Great play there from Josh Reynolds. So TD, 14 yards. To Reynolds, and that takes some time off the clock. That's 3:45 left in the game, so that's a 5 minute and 15 second drive to tie up the game. Well, we'll see if it's tied. Let's kick the field goal, the extra point, I guess, and they just make the extra point, and our game is tied at 41. Detroit coming all the way back in the 4th quarter, down 21 points to tie this one with 2 TD passes, actually 3 TD passes in the 4th quarter, and an interception and a punt for Minnesota. Minnesota imploding in the 4th as they've given up a 3 touchdown lead to the Lions. The Lions taking full advantage of those mistakes. All right, tied up. Kirk Cousins and the Vikings have an opportunity here. They've got 3 minutes and 45 seconds to get the ball down the field, and a field goal will win it. That's the beauty of being ahead and being the team that's leading. So this is going to be a 36. 36 is going to be a 16. 16 is going to be a kick for 60 yards. So we look at the blue dice for the kicking team because those are the Lions dice. So a 60-yard kick is going to be down to the 5. So Minnesota catches the ball at the 5, and they have an opportunity for a run back, a 36. 36 on a run back is going to be good for 28 yards. So that takes the ball out to the 33. Some of the best starting field position Minnesota has had all day. And that bodes very well with a good kick return for the Vikings. Takes 15 seconds off the clock, so we're going to start 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Minnesota with the ball, they need to probably 10, 20, probably need 30 yards, a good 30 yards. That'd be a 50-yard field goal. So they probably need a good 30 yards to get into field goal range. And let's see if they can do that against this vaunted Detroit defense. Stiff enough defense to keep them from scoring for a while. This is going to be a pass play. A 25 is going to be twins to the right, a wide receiver. That goes to Justin Jefferson. That's going to be good for 15 yards. And that is 10 out to the Minnesota 48. And that's going to be 1st and 10. That takes us down to 3 minutes left in the game. Once you get into the red parts, that's going to be if the team wants to run a hurry-up offense, that's basically running the hurry-up offense. A 100 is a running play, but we got matching plays here. So 35, a counter for 6 yards. But because the defensive role is the same, then it's going to be yardage -2. So it's going to be a counter play for 4 yards. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to bring up 2nd down and 6 for Minnesota. 42 is another pass play, and 11 is an offensive penalty. So let's see what that penalty is on an offensive pass. It'll be a loss of 5 yards, so they give 5 yards back. And 2nd down and 11 is what the Vikings need for 1st down. 17, another pass play to Minnesota. Oh my gosh. A 22 is a pick. Cousins with the interception. Yep. Cousins with the interception. Oh man. Come on now. And the run back, sorry. Oh my gosh. Interception. Line of scrimmage plus 40. I don't know why he's throwing it 40 yards down the field, but he decided he wanted to take a shot. And so this is going to be at least forcing the Lions to go pretty far for a go-ahead field goal, but my goodness. So 10, 20, 30, 40. And so that's where Detroit is going to take over. As Kirk throws it up for grabs, 50-50 ball. And that's going to be a pick. I guess he thought he had it. Don't know. So 1 minute and 30 seconds off the clock. Tied at 41. 2 minutes left in this one. Detroit is going to be in throw it mode, and they're going to be in hurry up mode. So each play is going to take 15 seconds. They also have all 3 timeouts, which will keep the clock from moving on a completed pass. So we're basically going to ignore these D6 dice. This is going to be a pass, a 15. I'm sorry, a 26. 26 is going to be a pass to the wide receiver. That is Josh Reynolds for 15 yards. So 10, 15. That takes it out to the 27, 1st and 10. And let's go ahead and call a timeout there. That's going to keep the clock from moving. So we'll call our first timeout, and let's see if we can get down the field. We're going to have to reserve one probably for a kick, just to keep one in the back pocket. So again, we're ignoring these. We have a 56. 56 on a pass is going to be a defensive penalty. Why not? And a 24 is going to be a 5-yard penalty. So Detroit gets a free 5. It's still first down, no time off the clock. And they're at the 32-yard line. They're on 32, 1st and 5. 24 is going to be a medium pass to the halfback. That'll be good for 12 yards. And that's 10, 12, out to their own 44. Brings up first down and 10. 1 minute and 45 seconds on the clock. Remember, all they have to do is get into field goal range. This is another 26, another 15 yards. Minnesota not providing any resistance here. And that's going to be good for 10 and then 15 out to the 41 as the Lions are knocking on the door here. They're about 10 yards away from a really good, solid field goal opportunity. This will be a 12. 12 is going to be a wide receiver screen. Say that 10 times. Wide receiver screen, and that goes to Josh Reynolds. Reynolds coming up big here in the fourth quarter. And let's see what the yak yardage is. 35 is 6 yards, so 5 plus 6 is 11. And that's going to get them squarely into field goal range. That brings up, what is it? 1st and 10 from the Minnesota 30. As Detroit storming back here right now, it's under 50 yards, so it's a 47-yard field goal. Detroit is going to, we'll let the dice decide here. A 69 is going to be a running play, a 96, probably what I would have done anyway. A 13 is going to be a halfback draw, but that's going to be a drop for 2 yards. So every yardage that they lose, every yard they lose is going to make this kick a little bit longer. It's now to a 49-yard kick, and they're going to run the ball again. 34 is going to be off tackle for 4 yards, and they're going to get a chance for some rack yardage here. So let's see. Four plus 3 is 7, so that's a 7-yard gain down to the 25. That's going to bring up 3rd down, and actually Minnesota's going to take a timeout there. So Minnesota takes a timeout to keep the clock from going anywhere, but it's now 3rd down and 5 for Detroit. They're going to run the ball again. They have to force Minnesota to burn another timeout. A 14 is going to be a dive straight ahead for -1 yard, but they're going to get a chance for some rack yardage. So let's see if he gains anything after contact. A 46 is a 6, so it's going to be +5. That's going to get him to the 1st down, and it'll be 1st and 10. Detroit. Minnesota's going to call another timeout. Not much, really. They can keep calling timeouts, but there's not much they can do here. This is, as long as Detroit makes the field goal, this one is headed toward a Detroit win. Let's see. This is going to be a running play. A 14 is a dive straight ahead for no yards. Again, there's an opportunity after contact. So let's see. A 14 is going to be 2 yards. So what was it? It was -1 plus 2 is a 1-yard gain. So it takes the ball down to the 19 as he falls forward. It'll be 2nd down. We're going to take the 3rd timeout for Minnesota. That's going to keep the clock from moving. So Minnesota out of timeouts, and it will be 2nd down, 3rd down, 4th down. We're headed toward one single play being the end of the game. So this will be a running play. 45 is going to be a slant play for 10 yards as they go ahead and pick up the 1st down, and it'll be 1st and goal at the 9 with 45 seconds left in the game. A 16 is another running play. 16 is going to be a dive straight ahead for 1 yard. Minnesota with a 26, not a 16. So that's going to be a dive play for 1 yard. Takes it to the 8. 2nd down and goal, basically. To goal. Another running play. This would be a 55. A 55 is a dive straight ahead for 12 yards. Minnesota can do nothing to stop it. And just like that, the game-winning TD for, well, possibly the game-winning TD for Detroit. As they go all the way down the field, they started at their own 12-yard line. Incredible. So 3:30. There was 2 minutes left when they started this drive. Now there's 1:15, so that's a... they only took 1:45 off of the clock because of the penalties and the timeouts, all the timeouts that were taken. And let's see if they kick the extra point. They do make the extra point, and Detroit at this point has completed the comeback as they get a TD run. That goes to Jamal Williams from 8 yards. And the hometown crowd is going nuts. They can't believe it. Minnesota's going to get one more crack at this thing. They get one shot. So there's one play left, and yeah, one play left. And let's see if they can run one back. That's really the only hope that they have. So a touchback will end this one. 34 is going to be a touchback, and that's going to be your ball game there, as Minnesota can try to run a play, and hopefully they might be able to hit on some rack yardage. But I don't know. Let me see. 17 is the biggest one where they could get some yak yardage. I guess they could hit like 5 penalties in a row and get them farther, but they can only go 65 yards. So I guess they could hit on the 65 yards, call a timeout, and then try to throw a Hail Mary or a desperate pass into the end zone. I don't know. There's some scenarios here, so we got to play this one out. It'll be 1st and 10, 15 seconds left. Minnesota's out of timeout, so there's no way for them to stop the clock. I don't even think there's a miracle that they could perform here. So this is going to be a pass play, obviously. A 36 is going to be an incompletion, and that's just going to end the ball game. 36 is incomplete, and that will be it in this one, as Minnesota, with a 41-20 lead going into the fourth quarter, loses 48-41 to the Lions. So this is what the fourth quarter looks like. Starting here. So Detroit started the fourth quarter inside the red zone. 2-yard touchdown pass to Hawkinson cut the lead to 2 touchdowns. Next possession for Minnesota, first play, interception. They're back down to the Minnesota 14. And not long after that, only a couple of plays after that, TD pass to Amon-Ra St. Brown cuts it to 7. Detroit bows up and holds Minnesota to a punt. When they were inside the Detroit 50, they tried a coffin corner punt, led to a touchback. And then Detroit goes from their own 20, drives the ball the length of the field to tie it up. 14-yard pass to Reynolds, Josh Reynolds. Next possession, Minnesota gets greedy, goes for the bomb, and that gets picked, putting Detroit down at their own 12, so deep in their own territory. And in a minute and 45 seconds, they go 78 yards. 88 yards. 88 yards for the score. TD run from Williams for 8 yards. They were set up to kick the winning field goal. They just ran it in instead. And boy, that's a disappointing game. Caramba. So Minnesota loses a 3-touchdown lead in the last quarter, and they get dropped in Detroit. And the Detroit fans will always remember this one. This one was a classic comeback for Jared Goff, a little feather in his cap. And this is the new Dice football game that I'll be releasing. Again, I'm going to be releasing the 2022 teams. So you can see this is the NFC North here. You can see the Bears, the Packers, Lions, and Vikings. So every division is going to be on one sheet of paper. So you can see these are, they just exist on one sheet of paper. So they're going to come, as one 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. A couple of cuts. You got your cards, or you can just keep them all together on the big sheets of paper if you don't want to cut them, and keep them all together. Really what you're looking at is the run pass ratio, and then you're looking at the player finder. So that's what the cards are doing for you. And on the new cards, again, there's going to be a defense, and the way that works is, let's say, okay, so Minnesota was on offense. They run a 16. And if Detroit was a 2 defense and they roll a 14, they're within 2 either way. So anything from a 23 down to a 14 would have the same effect as rolling a 16. So they would actually be able to use their yardage. But basically, it would be like rolling a 16. And if you look here, there's no defensive advantage. But if there had been a defensive advantage, then you would use that defensive advantage, even though they didn't roll right on the number. They rolled within 2, one way or the other. So just a little way to get really good defenses. Again, that's going to be Buffalo, San Francisco, and there's a couple of others. They get a +2 rating. Or a 2 rating on defense, not a +2. Can't think about that because it's 2 on either side of the offensive roll. So if the roll was a 35 and you got a 2, then a 33, 34, 35, 36, and 44 all would be like rolling a 35, which would be a possibility to tip the ball for an interception, or if that doesn't happen, then it's incomplete. So if you roll a D10. If it's a 10, it's a tip ball for an interception, and if not, if it's a 1 through 9, then it's an incomplete pass. So a little bit more opportunity to get defense in there, big plays on defense. Interceptions on defense can happen here. They can happen here a little bit more traditionally on the fumble or the interception. So just a lot of things that are going on in the game, and they're not hard to remember. I've tried to make it as easy to remember, and there's not a ton of math or anything like that. Sort of simple, +1, +5, +10, that kind of thing. So hopefully the game is a lot of fun, and hopefully it's a game that you don't speed through, but it speeds up the game of football. Football games tend to be a bit laborious, and to add any kind of, they're great once you have this part, but once you add in player detail, once you add in play detail, it can become quite laborious to figure everything out. Now, I'm not trying to give you like super fine-grained detail of this guy blocked this guy and who won this matchup in this battle. It's more a little bit higher level than that, but it's somewhere between that and roll to get a score. So, or roll to get the results of a drive. So you still play by play, but it's a little bit looser and not quite as detailed as most of the other games that are on the market. You can think of it like on-base baseball. That was the inspiration for this. You can think of it like up-tempo basketball, which I created, which is very similar, actually, in theory, to this game, where you're cutting off some of the detail, and you're zooming just a little bit higher than that. And you're getting a lot of the detail of the action, you're getting some of the player involvement into the game, but you're not necessarily getting full, deep down, nitty-gritty, on the ground involvement in the game. Although you do get a lot of opportunities as a coach. We were coming down to it, where you're going to kick a field goal, where you're going to go for it on 4th down, when Detroit had the ball, with 4 minutes left in the game. Do you kick the field goal and try to get the ball back? Or do you go for the touchdown there if it comes up to 4th down? So there are some decisions that you're going to make at the coach level. And you can also decide your own run-pass ratio. So you want to pass the ball every time with Jared Goff, you can do that. But just know that when you pass the ball, there are a lot more opportunities to screw it up. Just ask Kirk Cousins, because every time he throws the ball in the second half of a game that they're ahead, he tends to throw an interception in this game. Can't keep him from the 2020 or the 22s. I don't know what to do. It's like I can't throw the ball with Kirk in the second half. First half, he's like Joe Montana. Second half, he's just throwing picks all over the place. So a little bit frustrating for me as a Vikings fan to see this game played out, but a lot of fun, but not fun in the good way. So that is the game. I'll be releasing this very soon for everyone to play in the community. It'll be free. So the first season we're going to consider like a demo season, or it's fully complete. You can play it just like I'm playing it now. It won't have this ugly mark up here. It'll actually say 2022. And any other writing that I have on here is just for my own notes. So like this, there's going to be an actual defensive, it's on the card, right? It'll actually say defense. It won't be written by hand by me. So it's actually going to be on there. And it's going to be fully playable. Every team from 2022 is rated for their run-pass ratio, as well as all of the players, the major players. So you're going to get 2 tight ends. You're going to get the top 3 receivers, top 2 running backs, and then your kicker, the punter. And then if there are multiple quarterbacks, like for Chicago, Justin Fields didn't play every game. Simeon played some. Nathan Peterman had a start. So if quarterbacks had a start, they get under their up to 3 quarterbacks. Some team, so a couple of teams have 4 quarterbacks. They got starts, and I was like, well, I can't put them all on there, so I'm just going to go with the top 3, and then the top 3 receivers, the top 2 tight ends. Some of these teams, the top 3 receivers, that's really just the bulk of your catches. You're getting down into less than 10 catches if you get to a 4th wide receiver. So I was like, that's just a lot of work, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know that it's worth it to put a 4th wide receiver on most teams. So I did the top 3, and that 4th wide receiver is a little bit like a dime back. You know, he's going to get into the game a few times, and is it worth keeping the dime backs stats? Probably not. The nickel, yeah, but the dime, probably not. So you want to be smart about what you're doing, and that makes the seasons easier to create as well. It only took me a day or two to do these team cards. So as with 32 teams, I can imagine doing historic seasons as well, and having a historic chart where both your yards per target, because that's what I'm using for the pass play. I'm using yards per target to get these plays here, these yardages here, and then I'm using yards per attempt here. So I'm trying to get to, you know, what would be the norm as far as targets are concerned, and then on top of that, there's going to be yak and rack yardage that is possible. I'm not figuring this all in. There's no like average yak yards necessarily. It's typically like 2 to 4 yards per player. That's the difference between yards per target and yards per catch. So just trying to make sure that I get some of those extra yardage plays in there for big plays or explosive plays. And then you can see it's not on every single play. I guess if you wanted like arena football, you could do the yellow for every single play. But you know, some of these yardages here, you get quite a few of these rolls, but you don't always get an opportunity for extra yardage. Same thing, you roll 14 quite a bit or a 16 quite a bit, and those don't have the extra yak yardage. It's just a catch and a tackle. But some of these you have opportunities for extra yardage. So I think the game, it has a great flow. If there's some things that are off, you know, you get some opportunities here to roll for a kick return or a punt return TD. We've got special plays with onside kicks. We've got an accommodation for field goals. So on a field goal from 1 to 39 yards is going to be, it can't be 1 to, it has to be like 11, right? 11 to 39 yards, or 17 to 39 yards. The first 2 numbers in 11 and 12 is going to be a miss. Everything else is going to be a make. On a 40 to 49 yard field goal, it's the 11, 12, 13, and 14 that are going to be misses. And the rest are going to be good. And then on a 50-yard field goal, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 are all misses. And then 22 to 66 are going to be good field goals. So just trying to look through, how can we maximize the space instead of having, multiple field goal charts. So the goal of this game is maximize space, maximize complexity, or minimize complexity, and also create enough realistic opportunities within the game and enough variance. So I had one game, let's see, this game here was Miami and New England. That was 28-24, and then I play the same game with Detroit and Minnesota, and I get 48-41. So quite a bit of variance in the game and opportunities, and I'm hoping that the new defensive values will also help to sort of bring down some of the offense, especially not good offenses against good defenses. That's really the goal. You got two teams that are just not good defenses, so 48-41 is probably a legit score between a Jared Goff led offense and a Kirk Cousins led offense last year against their two defenses. So Detroit playing much better defense this year, so is Minnesota, but also Minnesota has a new coordinator, so it's going to be a little bit different style of play for them in 2023, and I expect their defense to be quite a bit better. And then the last thing, we have a Hail Mary play here. So if they had been within 60 yards, so if they had gotten to the 40, so from the 40 onward for Minnesota going this way, if they had gotten to at least the 40, they could have run a Hail Mary. So I do that limitation because most quarterbacks can't throw it 80 yards. So I just kind of leave that there. If you think the quarterback can throw it 70, then set it back to the 30. I'm not sure that Kirk Cousins can get it into the end zone from 70 yards. Maybe he can. I know that Lamar can do that. And I don't even know if Pat Mahomes can throw it 70. Maybe he can in the air to the end zone. So I put that limitation. I think most NFL quarterbacks can probably get it from 60 yards, heaving it into the end zone. And so I put that limitation there just to... you have to get out to the 40, to be able to throw a Hail Mary pass. So, but then it's just a 1, a 66 is going to give you a completion there. Otherwise, it's going to be incomplete and the game will be over. So try to think through everything. If there's something that I missed, put it down in the comment section. Whenever the game is released, I'll tell everybody about it here. I'll also put it on Facebook, and then everyone can see. Download the game and the game components. Again, it's just one file for the teams, one file for the charts. I don't know if I'll include this sheet here, but I'll probably include the sheet here, but we'll see. Or maybe just have it as a download. You're going to be able to go to clarkandaddisongaming.com and go to a specific page for this and download it for free. So I will make sure that I'll make sure that everybody knows about that when I do that. Probably if I hear something back that's egregious over the next few days from people that I've early released it to, maybe I'll have to make those changes, but otherwise the game feels and looks good to me. And then we're going to use this first year as sort of a test year. Is there any this first season, not the next full calendar year, but the first season we're going to use as sort of a test season. So play it to your heart's content, play out as many games as you want. You're going to get the entire NFL for you to play. And I just want to know, are there things that can be better? Are there details that can be added fairly easily that maybe I'm just missing? And you can see that we have a little bit of room here still for charts. We got kind of some slots that can be filled in, so to speak. I can put about 8 of these, so I have about 5 more sort of empty slots left. So maybe if there are some extra special plays that I'm missing, or more detail that we can add into the game, then let me know. Maybe rare plays or something like that, but not sure how I would incorporate rare plays, so to speak, but we'll see. So I think that's it from here. Minnesota loses 41-48 to the Detroit Lions, up 3 touchdowns. Minnesota was in the fourth quarter. So there's that part. Disappointing game. that Minnesota couldn't hold on to the ball, couldn't get first downs whenever they need it. But, you know, uh, it felt more like this year than last year, honestly. So last year was a little bit more they came through. This year is a little bit more they don't. So it's hopefully turning around for them. And like I said, just be looking on the lookout for this. If you want to get the game early, I pre-released it to the Clark and Addison Gaming Company Facebook page. So you can actually go join the Facebook page. I'll put a link down in the description. And you can go to the Facebook page, answer a couple of questions. I'll let you in. It's a private group. Not a Facebook page, but it's a private group on Facebook. And that game has already been released there. So I'll be happy to, you can go on there, become part of the group, answer the questions. Don't try to get in without answering the questions because I won't let you. So just answer the questions. They're super easy. They're about you. And it's just to keep spammers out. You know, I want that group to be clean and nobody in there trying to mess around or spam everybody with something. So get into the Facebook group and then you can download the files right now, today. You download them, print them. There's only like 6 or 8, 10 sheets at the most. And then there's the game guide will come with it as well. So you're watching it here, obviously, but there'll be a game guide that you can also reference that has all of the things that I've been talking about in there, just in written form. So if you prefer that, you can print those out. It's maybe 11 pages or so, 10 pages of actual game guide stuff. And then the rest is, you know, feedback and, you know, just some other different things that I want you to know, different places you can connect with us. So you can do that by going to the Facebook and going to the groups and looking up Clark and Addison Gaming, and you'll be able to find that group there as well. So if you want to join that, and that's a great place to go anyway, if you're interested in my games in general. On Base Baseball is one. Quick pitch baseball, which is sort of a pitching and defense first baseball game. I don't know if that's ever been made, but everything comes off the pitcher card. So if you're interested in that, an interesting thing to happen. I'm working on another like really detailed game called Precision Baseball that hopefully will be finished by next season when spring training starts. And then I have another football game, No Huddle Football, which you can see here. And that is a little bit more detailed in this game. It's played with 2 decks of cards and would be a really cool game to play with another person if you wanted to. Every team is graded out specifically by their yards per play, yards per run, yards per pass on offense and defense. So you get a lot more flavor of each individual team. I have 1978 season and 2022 season. So is it 23? 2022. So the last available season, last season that happened complete. So you can get 2022 or you can get 1978. So sort of a classic season. I'll be creating more seasons for that as it goes along. I also have up-tempo basketball, which you can get the 2022-23 season that just happened. So that's been released already. You can also get not a ton, but you can get quite a few classic seasons from the 80s and 90s and the 2000s. And you can play some of your favorite stars through up-tempo basketball. Triple Threat Basketball is a more in-depth game that includes the top 75 basketball players of all time, which is really fun, but it's a little more in-depth than up-tempo basketball. Advanced Stats, not Advanced Stats, On Base Advanced is another one that you could play. The Game of Dice Baseball is another one that is a full play baseball game. Kind of an old school classic dice rolling type game, but there are some some if-then statements that are built into the chart. So if you're familiar with that in coding or whatever in language, if this player has this, then it's this result. Otherwise, it's this result. So you get kind of some interesting things, and that has a huge rare play, unusual play list of 100 rare unusual plays that you can sort of delve into and you get into. There's about a 10% chance of hitting those on a particular play, and it's not just for hits, it's for hits and outs and just generally off the pitcher. So it's a really cool and fun concept. So you can get that at Clark and Edison Gaming as well. So lots of different stuff that been able to produce over the last 2 or 3 years, and really a lot of things for everybody. So go and check it out. I also host a game, college football game for another designer, and working on college football myself. Don't know if this would port well to college, but working on actually another football game that I haven't showed anybody, that's super in depth and uses cards. And so basically it takes you sort of step by step through the play, just like On Base Advanced is kind of step by step through the pitch. This would take you step by step through the play, and it's it actually doesn't take a million years to play because you're using cards and you're kind of flipping and making your way through it. So I'm kind of excited to share that one as well. But this one is a little bit more top level, a little bit more midline. You get some detail, but that other one is going to be very detailed, to the point of did you get pressure, when the rush happened, what happened here, what was the detail of the pass rush. During the play, was it a good snap, a bad snap? Was it a penalty at the snap, or was the penalty later in the during the play? So, and there's a lot of detail in it. I just kind of thought step by step. When you're standing at the line of scrimmage, did an audible get called, by the quarterback? And what kind of quarterback should a rookie quarterback be able to call an audible? They can't call audibles, but if your quarterback is older and has more years in the league, then he can call an audible. I'm just kind of thinking all the way through the game, but then trying to make the game play quick. Even though there's a lot of detail, a lot of story, a lot of narrative in the game, how can we actually cut down the game play so that you get all the juice and the good stuff and the meat of the game without having to roll every single time, or do something where you got to pick up and think through and figure this out and do these things. So it will be as easy to look up as these charts, but it'll have a lot more detail. So I'm excited to show you that one. I've tested it a little bit, but once I got onto this, I wanted to kind of get it finished and get complete. That way I'm just working on seasons. But I'll show that one at some point, and that's a fun one. And I've got a college game I've been working on that I haven't showed either. So we'll see how that one plays out as well. Just trying to figure out, really the difficulty with college football teams is figuring out the strength of one team against another. So you can play a football game between two teams, that's not a big deal. But trying to figure out, where does a lower level Division I team, where do they fit with a high level Division II, or where do they fit somebody in they're all Division I, they're all what are they, FCS, whatever the big one is, FCS, FBS, I can't remember, whatever the big one is, with the major conferences, the major 12, or 11 conferences. So figuring out how do the lower conferences match up against the ACC, the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10. How do those all fit together, and what sort of advantage should you be giving to a team that plays in one of the Power 5 conferences, even if they're a lesser team, like say NC State or something like that? How do they fit with a good team but in a lesser conference? So that, trying to work those things together and figure out some sort of rating system to help those teams out, or to sort them out, is really the challenge in a college football game. And I think I've got a good system for the mechanic that I've used, but we'll see about that. And I'll have to kind of get that cleaned up and polished a little bit before I try to play it. But first results have been really good. And it's kind of cool. I never thought about college football or college sports, maybe a little bit for up-tempo basketball. But, that difficulty of getting getting how do these teams play against each other, that's the difficulty for college sports, and get them onto a semi-level playing field. So some difficulties there, but everything is rated: offense, defense, passing offense, passing defense, rushing offense, rushing defense. Everything is graded out. It's pretty detailed as well, kind of like the pro game that I'm making too. So we'll see how that turns out. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and so stay tuned. I'm always working on something. If you have any questions or you just want to strike up a conversation, join the Facebook group and just ask, hey, what are you working on? That is often a place at the Clark and Addison Facebook group where I'm going to post things that I don't post anywhere else. I don't talk about them much here, or I don't show them here until they're ready, but sometimes I'll just give sneak peeks and tell people what I've been working on, or show score sheets from test games that I'm doing there, just to kind of give you a little bit of insider information about what's happening at Clark and Addison Gaming Company. And I'm serious. I'm serious about challenging the big companies. I'm serious about getting games out there, as many as I can make. As long as I have ideas, I'm going to make games. When those ideas run out, I guess I'll stop, and then I'll just focus on the ones that I have. But they keep coming, and I keep having ideas for new things, and so some people don't like that, some people love it. If you love it, join with us and join in playing and testing these games. You have a lot of input, especially at the beginning, about how these games go. I'm trying to feel my way through, so if you have any suggestions, definitely let me know, and I will put some of those in, or at least try them, and let you know how that goes. So that's a lot of rambling, a lot of talking, maybe because the Vikings lost and I'm disappointed. I need a friend. I don't know. I'm not sure. But the Vikings lose 48-41 in this game. Thanks for paying attention for so long. Thanks for your support along the way. If you like this channel, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you like the channel, give it a subscribe, and you'll be notified whenever I post new videos. Usually a few times a week I try to get videos out, and typically, I'm shooting this on a Saturday morning. I'm just gonna release it on the same day, so I don't have a schedule. I just, whenever I get a chance to show some of these things and get them out there, I'll do it. If you want to play the games on YouTube and you're a YouTuber and you're interested, let me know. Send me an email to clarkandaddisongaming@gmail.com, or leave a comment down here in the bottom, or just send me your email address. Put it down in the comments if you feel comfortable with that, and I will send you a free copy of a game if you're going to play it on YouTube. Nobody plays them but me, really, so it would be nice to have a little company out there of YouTubers who are playing that. If you have a favorite YouTuber or gamer that plays games, tell them about my games and say, hey, have you ever checked this out? Maybe you should play that on your channel. And you never know, maybe they will. Dave Gardner has played some of my games on his channel just from asking, and a lot of these guys are open to new games, but sometimes they just need demand from the community to say, hey, we'd like to see this game, would you play that? And if you want to see those things, sometimes you just got to reach out and say, hey, how about this one? Or when somebody puts a list together of, these are all the top baseball games, and you think one of mine is, put it out there. Say, hey, what about this one? So a lot of times I'm the only one doing that, which you expect with your own kids. But when somebody else starts saying, hey, your kids are pretty great, that becomes a different level of honor. So I appreciate when people do that. I appreciate the support that people have had on the different Facebook groups, and even crossing over sometimes into the Delphi forums. People are talking about my games sometimes. So I really appreciate that, and that helps the community to grow around the Clark and Addison Gaming Company and all the different games that we've produced. All right, I think that's it from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.